Hey, and I see you back for part 3, chapter 7, Cracks in the Facade. It wasn't one big moment. It was 1,000 tiny ones that built a path towards the truth. Coming out for me wasn't an explosion. It wasn't a social media post or a dramatic confession. It was slow, subtle, private. It began in the quiet places. The way I stopped laughing at jokes that made me uncomfortable. The way I stopped pretending to have crushes on guys just to fit in. The way I looked at myself in the mirror and finally let the question hang in the air. What if I just told the truth? But even then, I couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. I tested the waters in conversation, slipping little comments here and there, watching the reactions like a hawk. I'd say something vague about not feeling like I belonged in traditional relationships, or that I didn't see marriage the same way everyone else did. I wanted to see if anyone would pick up what I was silently screaming. Most didn't, or they didn't want to. I was still hiding, even in the honesty, still trying to make the truth digestible, not for me, but for everyone else. It was around this time I began writing more, journaling, creating characters who lived freely in ways I hadn't yet. They were always braver than I was, always choosing love even when it scared them in a way I lived through them first. But something was shifting, quietly. Small rebellion was happening inside me. I started following queer creators online. I surrounded myself with stories and art and people who reminded me that my truth wasn't shameful. It was human. It was real. And slowly the world inside me started to make room for the possibility of joy, not just survival. I didn't feel brave. I still cried after writing things I didn't dare say out loud. But I was changing. Because the thing about pretending is, you can only do it for so long before the act becomes unbearable. And I was tired of acting. Tired of smiling through another boy I was expected to like just because he was popular. Tired of forcing myself to imagine a future that never felt like mine. Tired of feeling like love, real love, was something I'd never be allowed to have. Tired of wondering if anyone would still see me the same if they knew the truth I carried. The truth didn't get lighter. I just started carrying it differently. Piece by piece, I was choosing myself. Even if I hadn't said the words yet. Even if I was still whispering in the dark. Something in me had cracked open, and the light was getting in. And it wasn't perfect. I still doubted myself, still feared rejection, still questioned if maybe, somehow, I was wrong. But underneath all of that was something new, a quiet, growing strength. Chapter 8, The Quiet Revolution. The day I chose myself wasn't loud, but it was everything. I didn't come out with a rainbow flag draped over my shoulders. There was no big speech, no announcement, no flood of support waiting on the other side of the closet door. It was just me, alone with the mirror, the silence, and the truth I had run from for so long. That day I stopped running. It didn't happen overnight, but it did happen in one. One night, where the weight of pretending felt too heavy to carry into the next morning, I remember lying in bed staring at the ceiling and thinking, what if this is all life ever is? What if I never stop hiding? What if I never feel free? The idea of spending the rest of my life playing a role that was never meant for me, smiling at boys I didn't want, shrinking my truth to make others comfortable, letting time slip through my fingers while I waited for the right moment to live, it broke something open in me, and in that crack something new began to grow. I realized I didn't want to survive anymore, I wanted to live, even if it cost me people, even if it cost me comfort, even if it meant walking through fear every single day, because the price of hiding had become too steep, and I was the one paying it, piece by piece, soul by soul. That night I sat up in bed, heart pounding, and whispered out loud, I'm done. I didn't even say the words I'm gay, I just said, I'm done apologizing for what I know in my bones, done pretending that what I feel isn't real, done performing for people who only love a version of me that never really existed. I was terrified. But I also felt a strange, unfamiliar calm. It was like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked, and for the first time, I saw a girl I didn't want to keep hiding. Saw someone worth showing up for. Someone who deserved joy, softness, and real soul-deep love. I realized I didn't have to wait for the world to accept me before I did. That night, I chose myself. Not fully, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to say I mattered. Enough to stop abandoning myself just to keep others from walking away. Enough to start building a life that felt like mine. It wasn't about being fearless. It was about being tired of the masks, of the shame, of the aching distance between who I was and who I'd let the world see. So I closed my eyes, put my hand on my chest, and promised. No more shrinking, no more erasing, no more waiting. Even if the world didn't understand, I would learn how to love the girl inside me who had waited so long to be seen. That was the night I took the first step, not out, but in. The night I stopped being a stranger to myself, the night I began to find my way home. Chapter 9, The Fear of Being Seen. Something I still struggle with. Coming out to the world is one thing. Letting the world see you, really see you, is something else entirely. Even after I said it to myself, even after I whispered it in the dark, even after I swore I'd stop hiding, I still flinched at the idea of someone else knowing. I wasn't ready for their eyes. There's a fear that creeps in after the truth. Not the fear of what you know, but the fear of what they might say, how they might treat you, who might leave. It's like suddenly standing naked in a room full of people you used to keep your coat on around. I wasn't afraid of being gay. I was afraid of what being gay meant to everyone else. What it meant to people I loved, what it meant to people I feared. There is a certain silence that follows you when you've kept something sacred hidden for so long. When you've lived so much of your life shaping yourself around what's expected, it's not easy to unlearn that. It's not easy to step into visibility when you've spent years surviving by being invisible. I remember nearly saying it to a friend once. The words were right there on the edge of my tongue, but I swallowed them. Again, and I laughed instead, deflected, changed the subject. I couldn't let her see it yet. I wasn't sure if she would still look at me the same way. Would she think everything we ever did together was some secret crush? Would she pull away guarded? Would I be the gay friend now instead of just me? Those fears lived in me like ghosts, always showing up in the quiet moments when I wanted to feel brave. I had to come out to myself, but I was still dancing around everyone else, and it made me feel like a coward. But the truth is, coming out isn't a single act. It's not one brave moment. It's a million tiny choices, over and over, every day. It's choosing to correct someone when they assume something about your life. It's choosing to stop laughing at the jokes that punch you in the chest. It's a slow shedding of fear, and it doesn't happen all at once. Some days, I still wanted to retreat. Some days, I let the silence hold me. Some days, I hated how easy it was for others to be open when I still felt like I was in a locked room. But I was trying. I was inching forward. And in between the fear, there were moments of hope. A friend who didn't flinch, a conversation that ended in love instead of judgment, a quiet sense of relief after saying the words out loud and not crumbling. That's what this part of the journey was. Not a sprint toward pride, but a slow, painful, and healing walk through vulnerability. I wasn't fully out yet, but I was closer than I'd ever been. And every time I let someone see me, even just a little, it was like breathing fresh air for the first time. I was scared, but I was real. And that was enough to keep me going. We'll have to do a part 4. Hope to see you guys there.